Hotel Han Palace is a subsidiary hotel of Kempinski Hotels, one of Europe's oldest luxury hotels, headquartered in Geneva. Mr. Oliver Kuhn is the general manager of the UB-based hotel, which won Mongolia's Hotel of the Year title from World Travel Awards last year. So, Mr. Kuhn, welcome.
Thank you.
When I was looking at your personal profile, I noticed you've been appointed, or you've come to Mongolia 3 times. First in 2008, next in 2012, and last time in 2015. I mean, for the first 2 times, I noticed those were for the same employer, Tirch Hotel, but the last one is for Kempinski Hotel, as we can see now. Please tell us, I mean, besides professional reasons, there must have been some personal reasons that kept you coming back to the country. Please share some of the reasons, the main reasons that have been attracting you to the country.
Well, it's a very challenging country, and I am a person who actually likes challenges. I could not work in Berlin or Hamburg, where you have all the infrastructure in place or logistics in place. Here's something where you have actually really challenges which you need to tackle, which you need to find solutions, and that's what I like. That's why I always work in countries where it's still more challenging than to work in Europe, for example.
Mm-hmm. I can name, in terms of the tourism sector, the biggest challenge would be low infrastructure development, I think. What other challenges can you name?
Well, I believe the country lacks a bit in education and development. So I believe our main task when we come to the city to work for is to educate the people, to train the people, and to bring them on the next level.
Is it correct to understand that the hospitality sector, not only the hotel, but hospitality sector in Mongolia might be lacking the professionals, the qualified men-force to develop the industries? Is that what you're saying?
I would say so, yes. Although the country is already coming onto a good way, there are now a couple of hotel schools in the city where people can actually learn this in the field. Also, we have many trainees in the summertime and in the wintertime as well, which we can train, which we can educate. So the country is moving now into this right direction. But 4 years ago, it was more challenging. Yeah.
I see. So your track record shows me that you have exceeded planned objectives for revenue and profit in almost all the hotels you've managed here and elsewhere. What are your 3 key business principles in running a hotel successfully, maybe in this kind of market?
I would say the first one is respect. You need to respect the culture, respect the people. You cannot just come like me as a German with his own way to push it through. This wouldn't work. So you always need to find a compromise to talk to the people, to respect the culture. The second one I would say is trust. You need to build trust. You need to say what you do. You cannot do promises which you don't keep. And the third one,
to your employees or
and to the community as well, to everyone. You always need to say what you do. You cannot lie or give wrong information. And the third one I would say is development. You, if you come to a country like here, you always need to train people. You need to develop them because that's the main motivation for them, and that's also these main reasons why we are here, to train the people.
You have mostly worked in former Soviet-influenced countries, namely Mongolia, Kazakhstan, and Russia. What do you think are the biggest similarities and disparities in doing business in former Soviet-influenced countries like the ones I just mentioned?
I believe very similar is still that due to the Soviet influence, people are more used to an autocratic system, which means they need to receive straight orders, and as well, everything is very much in paperwork. You always need to sign so many documents, while in Europe, most of the stuff is already electronic. Right. So here it's a lot of paperwork. Differences, I would say that especially Russia and Kazakhstan had a quite good development over the last 20 years, especially if you look to Astana. It's a beautiful new city, it's built, they have new universities, education came to a new level. And I believe this is where something here, Mongolia, is still lacking.
Right. In terms of I think the external and internal factors, the countries do have similarities, like you mentioned, and disparities as well. I would say one of the biggest differences may be the population, the number of population. And you've run hotels in much more populated countries, like you mentioned, as well as Austria and some other European countries, I believe. How has it been like running a hotel in very, in a small market like Mongolia, which is also challenged by external factors like the cold weather, low infrastructure development, etc.?
I believe here it's very important that you find your niche, where you are very special in, where you stand out from other hotels. I would say the city has an oversupply of hotels, as in the winter time especially, but every hotel is somehow finding his way. And I believe we have beautiful hotels like the Shangri-La, the Best Western Hotel. They're all very nice, but we are here focusing purely on quality and on personalized service, because we are quite small. We just have 99 rooms, and I believe we are the only hotel where our customer get really greeted with the name if they come the second time, where they can interact with the team. Our team speaks in many languages, so they can really interact with international customers and gives them a good experience.
Besides the customer service, what are the benefits, maybe advantages and disadvantages of being a part of large, multinational hotel chain like Kempinski?
I wouldn't say any disadvantage, to be honest, because if you are part of a group, it's first of all is the brand what you have on the hotel, on the roof, which is known worldwide. Then you have the support from the group, especially in sales and marketing, in PR, and most of all in training. We have many trainings which is involving all our team for service, for sales. We also have cross exposures that we send some of our team members to other properties over the world where they can learn for a couple of months. In return, we take team members, for example, from China or from Germany, also to us for a short period of time. So this cross training is very helpful.
But how about, as a leader or as a manager, general manager of the organization, do you sometimes feel like, you would like to do this, but that might not fit under the operational plan of your hotel chain, whereas maybe in smaller hotels like Tirolci, you might had, I assume you had, maybe the authority to make decisions on yourself?
Well, at Kempinski Hotel, we call ourselves a collection of individuals, which means we are actually very free to do our own business way, how it should be, as long as we have certain standards that we have to meet, which is certainly mainly based on quality and certainly also on revenue and profit. So we are quite free to do our way.
That's good for you.
Yeah, it gives us more ways. For the Tirolci Hotel, if you are not linked to an international group, then your property need to be very outstanding. And the Tirolci Hotel is a very outstanding product. It's very remote. It's a very nice boutique hotel. Although it's linked to an international association, which is called the Small Luxury Hotels of the World, just to get the sales support, to get also known internationally.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned about some of the benefits, including the sales support for being in the chain of hotels. How much does the Kempinski loyalty program or things like that help your Ulaanbaatar-based hotel?
Oh, it does help a lot. And Kempinski has its own program called Discovery, which was founded by Kempinski, and the subdivision is called Global Hotel Alliance, where we have many hotel chains in the world taking part of. And customers can get very fast an upgrade up to the black status, which is our highest status. And if they have this, they can actually get very nice benefits, like a complimentary upgrade to the room. They can get some so-called local experience, which means that they can choose out of a catalog some, for example, a small trip to a local family where they can experience how it is to live there, or they get a free airport transfer, all these things. So it's quite beneficial. Our market share is coming mainly from Japan, and the second ranking is from Germany. Well, I believe due to the Kempinski brand, that's why we attract many German customers, because It was founded in Germany 120 years ago, actually. And due to Japan, because we are part of Tavernbock Group, and Tavernbock has very good relationship with Japan, and this helps us a lot to attract Japanese customers.
So, is hospitality industry been an essential part of tourism industry? How would you rate the tourism industry players in Mongolia, particularly vis-a-vis tour operators and transportation service providers like airlines?
There are certainly some unprofessional companies on the market, but there are also some very good ones. For example, Yulchin Travel is a very good company where we cooperate quite good. So this market is now coming much better than before. In view of airlines, I believe this is the biggest challenge we have, because it's a kind of, I would almost say it's a monopoly between Aeroflot, Miat and Korean Air, and the ticket prices are just too expensive. The clients which come to the country are not coming to visit Ulaanbaatar, because, to be very honest, the city has not much to offer for people to come. They all come to see the beautiful nature, the countryside, and those clients usually are low-budget tourists, I would say. It's like backpackers, or it's like people who just want to make a trip. And if they need to buy an airplane ticket with such high cost, it's simply too expensive.
How about the railway?
You can also go with the train from Moscow to Ulaanbaatar, but it's simply too much time. People in Europe have maybe 2 weeks vacation, 3 weeks vacation. If they take the train, it's almost 10 days, almost half of the time is over.
As a foreign business leader, as well as an expat in Mongolia, which kind of opportunities do you see for Mongolian tourism industry, by looking at these kind of challenges, but as well as comparing the challenges to the potentials and the opportunities the country has?
Well, I believe when the new airport is opening, which I hopefully is happening this year, then they need to attract new airlines to come. Then they need to have charter flights coming with a lower price. They need to find a way to organize the transportation from the airport to the city, which I believe is not actually done yet. There need to be a shuttle bus system, because otherwise the transportation cost of the taxis is too expensive for the clients. The city need to somehow work on the traffic solution in the city, because the traffic, the low infrastructure, then all these uncompleted construction buildings is not really helping to make the city more attractive. So there's also much things to do.
Right, but you are located maybe right in the or on the edge of the downtown of the city. So you do have to find your advantages or your niche to stand out. Besides the Kempinski name, the brand name, as well as your good customer service, what do you think that can attract your clients who are not maybe coming through the Kempinski loyalty program, but who are finding you on themselves? Say, the main reasons for them to attract.
Well, I believe the main reasons why a customer come is purely because of the brand and because of the customer service. People nowadays checking all these online review portals like TripAdvisor, Bookings.com and so on, and they're checking the reviews before. It's not that normal that people call the hotel and make a reservation. It's now actually 80% comes from online. So people really check the reviews, see there's a good quality, and they come. That's the main reason.
Right. Besides the the customer service and everything you mentioned, I find myself the location of the hotel very important when I'm deciding on which hotel to stay in. Anywhere I travel to. How do you find your location? To me, honestly, it's not right. It's not in the downtown area. It's not in a walking distance to the main parts of the city. But do you find it as a challenge, or you find a compromise for that?
Well, many people tell me it's a challenge. I try to see it more as an opportunity, because despite we are not located next to the Sukbata Square, we are actually more out from the city center, which makes it easier for people to travel to the airport, because they can go outside the city. They don't need to cross the central square. One of our USPs is also this big parking place what we have outside. And from security point, we have a quite good setup that our property is quite good secured with the fence, with the two exits, one in the back door, one in the front door. That's why we have been the main hotel actually for all the head of states before, because of the location, not in the city, and this 2 exits.
That's I think that's a very smart way of looking at the positive side of maybe what might seem as a disadvantage to many. Earlier you mentioned about training your staff, preparing your professionals. How have you found retaining those talents or the professionals after training them?
Well, this hotel is very unique. The hotel is now open since 10 years, and we still have almost 20% of our employees here since 10 years or even more. So we have quite a very low turnover. Certainly sometimes people just leave because the season is over or a new hotel is opening on the market and they just want to try it out. We have many people who have left, but they then just came back because we really take care of our employees, all these social benefits, these interactions, what we have with the team, team outings. So it's quite a good package.
Yeah, I see. You mentioned respect for the locals or the local culture as one of the top business principles of your leadership. Can you name an example or two about the kind of custom or the kind of cultural aspects you had trouble when you first came to Mongolia, but then you had to get over it because that was part of the culture that you could not escape?
I believe this biggest challenge, what I see here is the timing. If someone's supposed to come, let's say at 12 o'clock, or you have a party which is supposed to start at 12 o'clock, people not coming at 12 o'clock, they're coming at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So this is something which would not work in Europe. But here you just need to get used to it. You need to prepare your kitchen team that the food comes out a bit later. You always need to communicate with the client. So that's how you overcome.
I see. Many people complain about such challenge, the punctuality. I also find it quite frustrating when I'm doing business here as well. But I think hopefully especially among the professionals, it's getting better. But on the other hand, that there are a lot of people who explain it with regard to the mindset of the Mongolians who have been nomads for centuries, and they say, especially if you're traveling in the countryside, the nomads would tell you there are only 3 hours during the day. There is morning, afternoon, and evening, right? Yeah. Do you still find that in the?
It's getting less. It's getting less. In 2008, it was very, very often that it happened like this, but now it's getting much, much better.
You mean in the city or?
Both in the countryside and in the city. But now it's almost solved. But people still come late. But we just need to get used to it. Based
on your personal observation, as well as maybe some in-depth discussions with possibly some other foreigners or expats living in the country, which kind of tours do you think are lacking in the country, or the country has the potentials to develop more?
I believe what is missing is an infrastructure in the tourist destination, like to have some hotels in Lekuvskool, for example, or have some hotels close to the Gobi Desert, that people can actually stay longer there. Then maybe some small airports in this region, some train connection or some proper road connection. This could also help to actually gain more tourist revenue.
The tours, you commented mostly on the logistical side, but as an expert in the hospitality sector, which kind of, if someone tells you or asks you to plan a lodge or a hotel in one of the destinations you just mentioned, what would you have in mind? Could you describe a bit?
Well, it should be something mixed. It should be something with usual hotel service, like a good restaurant, a spa, maybe some entertainments in there, like a cinema, shopping mall. But you also need to keep this local touch. People still want to live in a Gör. So if tourists coming from Paris, from London, they should at least have the opportunity to stay 1 or 2 nights in a Gör. So all these new hotel concepts should have a main building plus some extra Görs on the side to give this opportunity.
I see. I know in Tirilca National Park, which is the nearest national park to the city, they do have very good facilities, including the Tirilca Hotel you managed. So you're suggesting to have similar facilities provided in the more remote areas?
Yes, but less in quantity. I mean, the Tirilca Park is very beautiful from the nature, with this river floating there, with all these animals running around. But in my opinion, it's already too much in there built. It's just destroying this landscape.
Where, for example, again, you know, if you were asked to develop this maybe concept or tour hotel in one of these destinations you mentioned, maybe in the destinations you mentioned, maybe elsewhere, where would you pick?
Well, to have it as a tourist destination, I would choose Lake Huskul as first option, me personally. And to make it as a business concept, I would choose Hahnbocht, because it's not far from the OT, which is not far from the OT project. And I believe this could bring potential in the future, that you can maybe start with a small hotel and entertainment center to keep all these OT workers there on site, that they don't need to fly always to Ljubi. And in the next stage, maybe even extend this project. If you plan to open a hotel in Huskul, for example, you should have a base in Ulaanbaatar, which means you should have actually 2 hotels, and then you can swap your team, because the seasonality at the moment for the tourists is the summertime only. Still, Huskul is very nice in the winter time, so you can still have a base business there, but then you can swap your team members from the summertime in Huskul to the winter time in Ulaanbaatar, where you have all these social events, all these New Year parties coming on, where you still need your team members. So you don't need to release them, you can just swap them.
I see. And in Huskul, actually, they do try to keep the tourists coming in, even in the winter time, by organizing different events like Ice Festival and I believe like Reindeer Festival and things like that. You must have visited Huskul by yourself, haven't you?
I was there once, and it's a very beautiful nature. It's very beautiful nature. When you talk about seasonality, actually, since we say that there's only season in the summertime, I believe this is only because we accept this, because there is still potential to have even the winter season here. It's just not yet developed. For example, if you look at Harbin in China, we have a Kempinski hotel in Harbin, and in Harbin is always organized these winter festivals, these ice festival. You have maybe heard, and still people don't come to visit Ulaanbaatar as a city, because the city is not that attractive. They come to see the countryside. So in the winter time, even if Ulaanbaatar is polluted and the traffic is disastrous, people still go out to the countryside. It just need to be organized.
So you're suggesting that the winter tourism can be actually promoted not only to international tourists, but also the domestic tourists as well?
Yes, certainly it will come mainly from international market, since domestic market is very small, but it attracts both, yeah.
I see. I wonder if you promote or offer uniquely Mongolian products to your customers that they can find only in Mongolia, maybe such as, I don't know, cashmere blanket or artisan cheese made by local producers.
Well, we sell a lot of cashmere products, and we also give for our top clients, which are part of this program, cashmere scarves, cashmere hats and such things, and they're really much appreciated. We tried the cheese. There are some cheese factories close by which do the local cheese, but the feedback was not that good, so we stopped it again. Yeah, but the cashmere works very well.
I see. What other local products would you like to see in your team, in your hotel, to be offered to your customers?
Well, we would like to be as much local as possible, with local vegetables, with local meat, and we try to buy as much as possible from local producers. Then certainly cashmere is a a big topic here. And since we are also linked with Tavanbog to Gobi, we have a good source, and we can really good play with this.
So you said that the feedback on your cashmere gifts, for example, by your customers have been positive. Yes. I see. And as an international professional, do you think the Mongolian cashmere products and maybe other textile products, yak wool, I know some camel wool as well, products do have the potential of becoming an export hit in Mongolia?
Yes, for sure. It's already is, I believe. Kashmir, yeah. And also yak wool, camel wool is now growing demand in actually Russia, Europe, China. I believe this has good potential, yeah.
The previously discussed the seasonality aspects don't only result in decreasing or fluctuating number of incoming tourists during the cold season, but also shortage or even maybe unavailability of fresh food ingredients, which seem to be very important in your business. And how have you been tackling this issue?
Well, there is, I believe, gutsot farming became quite big the last years with local products, which is very good for us, even to buy vegetables in the winter month. And if it's really not possible to get something local fresh, we just fly it in fresh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From Russia?
From Russia, from Korea, from China. Yeah.
I see. But then do you find it challenging to keep the freshness of the products you're using?
Well, if you fly it in, it's here in between 24 hours. It's still fresh. It's very good. In the summertime, there is no problem at all. We get almost everything on the local market: fruits, vegetables, meat. This is fine. In the wintertime, we mostly cover with flights.
Right. And that would be reflected in the increase in your cost side, though, right?
We compensate this. We don't increase our prices in the wintertime. We keep our prices stable because our customers expect quality. It's up to us how we handle this, so we will not increase the price.
Mm-hmm. So the way you handle this kind of seasonality is to plan ahead, to, I guess, be prepared for different scenarios. Is that what you're suggesting?
That's correct. That's correct. And we have sales agents in Korea, in China, who actually always on standby. If we need something, we will have it latest in 36 hours.
Let's put Airbnb aside. What other kinds of threats do you, or the challenges do you see that might hit your affect your business negatively in Mongolia, and what kinds of actions are you planning to go around those kinds of potential risks?
Well, I believe the biggest risk I see is the infrastructure, is the traffic, is the behavior, how people drive, all this. But this is not something what we can actually solve. We as a hotel, we are part of the ep07 Business Council of Mongolia, and we are actually using groups in there to actually address this to this government to find solution. We have working groups in there, we have training sessions, so this is really something where we hope we find a nice word with this government to find a solution.
I see. So, of course, once you are operating in a market or any country, everything in the country affects your business, no matter, regardless of the size of your business. So the kind of challenges you've named are mostly related to the country-specific problems. I can see, but in terms of the hotel, when I've talked to a number of business leaders for these interviews, many of them were complaining how the economic situation hit them hard over the past few years. Was it something that you also observed for your business, or you were able to, go over because of the multinational chain you already have that could support you?
Yeah, you always have pros and cons. The actually downturn of the economy resulted that the Tukruk was quite lost in value. We actually compensated this because most of our customers who are coming from abroad pay in hard currency. So we actually had the benefit since the Tukruk was actually lower, so we received more in Tukruk. So there are always pros and cons. The Kempinski brand is very strong in sales and marketing, so we have a very good client base which is coming. So we actually show an increase in revenue and profit over the years, despite there was the economic crisis. So I would not complain about it.
That's very actually. I'm very glad to hear that. I think it's important to try to look at the the positivities of something negative happening, and whoever can do that survives at last. That's what I believe. And earlier you mentioned a couple of times how being a part of a big corporation like Talmbot Group helps your business. Besides the kind of benefits you mentioned, of course, with regard to the Kashmir factory, as well as the Talmbot Group's good relationship with Japanese, what other types of advantages can you name?
Well, Talmbot is a very professional company, and we work very good with them. I believe except these points what you already said, I believe our largest benefit is the knowledge of the market, because they're all very professional businessmen, and we can actually learn from them as well how this market goes, how to get contacts, how to solve problems. So it's a good partnership.
I see. Okay, Mr. Oliver Kuhn, thank you very much for your insightful talk.
Thank you very much.
We're looking forward to see you raising standards of hospitality sector through all the programs you are delivering to your staff and more. Thank you.
Thank you very much.